You dust the shelf, change the water, rearrange the petals just right, but for some reason the vase still feels off. Not broken, not ugly, just strangely heavy. Most of us don't think twice about the flowers we bring into our homes. They're beautiful, fragrant, calming. We place them on coffee tables, by the window, even on bedside stands, believing they add life, maybe a bit of charm. But what if some of them don't? What if, without realizing it, we've invited something else in too? This isn't superstition. It's about energy, how spaces feel when we live in them day after day. Have you ever noticed a room that just feels low even though it's clean and bright? Or a stretch of days when everyone in the house is tense, disconnected, tired, for no obvious reason? Sometimes it's not the noise, it's the silence underneath. And sometimes it's not the clutter. It's the energy of the things we think are harmless. Certain flowers, despite their beauty, carry centuries of meaning tied to mourning, endings, or spiritual imbalance. In many cultures, including some Western traditions, they've been used in funerals, placed near graves, or associated with emotional stagnation. Over time, those associations don't just fade, they settle. And when those flowers are placed in homes meant for connection, love, or growth, the contrast can quietly disrupt the energy around us. This video isn't about fear, it's about awareness. Today, we're going to explore 10 specific flowers that may look stunning in a vase, but could be draining your luck, your peace, or your momentum without you even knowing it. You don't need to throw everything out, but once you hear what these flowers carry with them, you might think twice before placing them by the window again. Because sometimes, beauty isn't just what we see, it's what we feel when no one else is in the room. 10 flowers that disrupt the energy in your home. Number 1, yellow chrysanthemum, the farewell that never ends. There's something strangely dignified about yellow chrysanthemums. Their petals are crisp, their color bright like autumn sunlight. They don't wilt easily. They sit tall in the vase, quiet, poised. At first glance, they feel like a safe choice, simple, cheerful, a touch of gold for the kitchen table or a bedside stand. But here's what most people don't know: this flower, so often chosen for its gentle glow, carries centuries of silent grief. In many Western homes, flowers are picked for their looks. The deeper meaning, the energy, the story behind them is often overlooked. But if you were to ask someone from Japan or China or even parts of Europe what yellow chrysanthemums remind them of, you might get a very different answer. In those cultures, this flower is deeply associated with funerals, memorials, and offerings to the dead. It's a flower of parting, not of celebration. And that meaning isn't just symbolic. It settles into the air the way a song changes the mood of a room without anyone needing to say a word. Imagine playing a slow, mournful tune at a birthday party. No matter how happy the occasion, something in the room shifts. People speak a little softer. Laughter feels out of place. That's the subtle emotional shift yellow chrysanthemums can bring into a home, not because they are cursed or dangerous, but because of what they've come to represent across generations. And when placed in a space meant for warmth, family, or renewal, that quiet weight can build. Some people describe it as stillness, others call it heaviness. A few simply say the room feels tired. And they're not wrong. Yellow chrysanthemums are considered a yin-heavy flower. In energy terms, yin isn't bad, it's calming, cooling, introspective. But too much yin, especially in a space that needs movement and warmth, can lead to stagnation. Arguments that never resolve, ideas that never take shape, days that feel like they blur together even when you've done everything right. I once spoke to a woman who kept a vase of chrysanthemums on her fireplace mantel year-round. She said it reminded her of her grandmother, strong, elegant, always composed. But over time, she began noticing little things. Her living room, once full of conversation, had grown quiet. Her children stopped spending time there. She herself preferred other corners of the house. It wasn't dramatic, just a drift. When she finally removed the flowers out of curiosity, not fear, she said the air felt different, as if someone had opened a door that had been shut for too long. This is not to say you should never keep chrysanthemums. They have their place. They are beautiful and in the right context, even meaningful, but context matters. Timing matters. Where you place them and why matters. In homes where people are already grieving or where joy has been hard to find, yellow chrysanthemums may deepen that energy instead of softening it. And when you're trying to build momentum, start a business, grow a family, create a home full of life, they may gently, silently pull things in the opposite direction. So what can you do? You don't need to fear the flower, but it helps to treat it with respect. If you love chrysanthemums, consider keeping them outdoors or in spaces used for remembrance or quiet reflection. Avoid placing them at the center of daily life, the dining room, the living room, the home office. Especially avoid placing them on altars that are meant for the living, not the past. And above all, pay attention to how the room feels. Not how it looks, but how it holds you when you sit in it day after day. Sometimes what's holding us back isn't loud or obvious. It's quiet, beautiful, still. It doesn't ask for attention, but it shapes the mood of a space, the same way lighting or sound can shift the energy without anyone noticing. Yellow chrysanthemums may not break anything, but if your home has felt stuck, disconnected, or emotionally flat, they might be worth reconsidering. After all, not every flower brings life. Some were born to say goodbye, and sometimes they keep saying it long after we've stopped listening. Number 2, camellia, the flower that falls like a head. At first glance, camellias are the picture of quiet grace. Their petals are smooth, symmetrical, almost porcelain-like. Unlike wildflowers that bloom loud and fast, the camellia holds back. It doesn't scream for attention. It sits still, soft, controlled. Many people fall in love with it for that very reason. Its delicate poise, the way it looks like it belongs in a still life painting. But underneath that silence is a moment most people never notice until they do. Camellias don't drop their petals one by one. They fall whole, stem, bloom, everything at once. No warning, no slow fade. Just a sudden silent drop that feels strangely violent when you witness it up close. It's a detail easy to miss unless you're paying attention. But in certain traditions, that drop has been seen as more than a quirk of nature. It's a symbol, a metaphor, a quiet echo of loss or worse, sudden endings. In Japanese culture, camellias have long been considered an ill omen in specific settings, not because they are ugly or unwanted, but because of how they fall. People describe them as beheading flowers, not in horror, but in reverence for their dramatic exit. And while that may sound extreme, the symbolism is powerful. Imagine a bloom that doesn't wilt gently, doesn't age out slowly, but instead vanishes in a blink. No goodbye, just absence. Now translate that energy into your home. What happens when a flower that embodies stillness and sudden disconnection becomes part of your everyday space? Many people describe subtle emotional shifts, a room that feels colder than the rest, a sense of detachment between spouses, between parents and kids, even within yourself. It's not loud, it doesn't cause fights, it causes distance, a kind of invisible wall that builds slowly, then settles. There's also the issue of placement. Camellias tend to thrive in cool, shaded environments, gardens with little foot traffic, corners of the yard that rarely see the sun. There's beauty in that, but it also tells a story. This flower prefers isolation. It grows best where people don't go. When brought indoors, especially near entryways, bedrooms, or shared spaces, camellias can energetically mirror that preference. They quiet the room, but not always in a good way. The stillness can become stagnant, conversations thin out, sleep becomes lighter, energy freezes. One woman shared that after placing camellias near her bedroom window, she started waking up in the middle of the night feeling unsettled. No dreams, no noise, just a chill like the room had exhaled something it wasn't holding before. Her husband started sleeping in a different room, saying it was too quiet, too dense. There was no argument, just space growing between them for no reason they could name. That's the kind of shift this flower can bring, not chaos, but disconnect. In feng shui terms, camellias are considered energy slowers. They pause movement, mute flow. In the right place, that can be grounding. In the wrong place, it can feel like nothing ever changes, even when you need it to. Days blur, plans stall, conversations dry up. But this isn't about blaming a plant. It's about listening to what your home is quietly telling you. Energy speaks in patterns, in moods, in subtle tension you can't always name. And flowers, like furniture, like color, like light, are part of that language. Camellias, as beautiful as they are, might be speaking a kind of stillness that your life doesn't need right now. So what's the takeaway? You don't have to banish camellias. You don't have to stop loving them. But be mindful of where you place them. Keep them in the garden, tucked behind the house, or near a meditation space where quiet is welcomed. Avoid placing them near high-energy areas, your front door, your bedroom, your kitchen table. These are places where connection lives, where momentum builds. They need warmth, not withdrawal. More importantly, notice the spaces in your home where energy feels frozen. Ask yourself why. Is it the lighting, the clutter, or is it something more subtle, like a flower, holding space for sorrow it never meant to bring? Sometimes the most graceful things carry the heaviest messages. Camellias don't shout, they fall, and that's the point. Their lesson isn't one of fear, but of presence. Pay attention to what stays quiet in your home, because stillness is not always peace, and silence is not always rest. Number 3. Lilac half asleep, half haunted. Lilacs are dreamlike. Their scent lingers in the air like memory, soft, nostalgic, almost weightless. Their color, especially the pale purples and dusty lavenders, invites quiet. They bloom in spring when the world feels tender again, when light returns to the trees. That's why so many people love them. Lilacs feel like coming home. But what if that sense of comfort is also why they stay too long, too quietly, in the wrong kind of space? In folklore, lilacs have long carried a strange duality. In parts of Europe, they were called soul flowers, planted near cemeteries or churches where the veil between worlds felt thin. Some believed their scent could guide wandering spirits. Others believed it could trap lingering sorrow. Either way, lilacs weren't just pretty, they were symbolic. A bridge between endings and what lingers afterward. In modern homes, we rarely think of any of that. We choose lilacs for their fragrance, their calm color, their gentle vibe. But energy doesn't need us to believe in it to move. And when a flower carries the vibration of memory, stillness, and spiritual residue, it doesn't always bring peace. Sometimes it brings pause, a pause that sits longer than it should. The color purple in energy work represents transition, neither hot nor cold, not fully alive, but not gone either. In lilacs, that tone becomes soft, sweet, but also oddly detached. People who keep them in the house often describe odd experiences. Waking up tired after a full night's sleep, feeling cloudy during the day, sensing emotions that aren't theirs. Not sadness exactly, but a kind of emotional fog, like trying to remember a dream you didn't want to have. One couple shared that after placing fresh lilacs in their bedroom, cut from their garden each week, they both began having strange, repetitive dreams. Nothing violent, nothing obvious. Just faces they didn't recognize, rooms that felt familiar but weren't theirs. The scent was lovely, but over time they noticed they were sleeping longer and waking up less rested. The dreams grew more vivid. One night they both dreamt of the same window, one they'd never seen before. None of this is cause for panic, but it is a pattern. And patterns, when they repeat quietly, deserve our attention. Lilacs, like many flowers with a strong fragrance and soft energy, are said to carry lingering air. In spiritual traditions, that kind of air holds on to things, thoughts, feelings, unresolved tension. It doesn't clear a space, it keeps it in limbo. In homes, that can translate to emotional slowdowns, small disagreements that never quite resolve, a lack of motivation, a sense that things just aren't moving, even when life seems fine on the surface. If you've ever walked into a room that feels sleepy, disconnected, or strangely cool, even in sunlight, you might want to look around. It may not be the color on the walls or the lack of windows. It might be the energy of something you brought in without questioning it. A scent, a bloom, a softness that was meant to comfort but ended up dulling the emotional sharpness we sometimes need to stay connected, to ourselves, to others, to purpose. That's the challenge with lilacs. Their beauty is real. Their scent is intoxicating, but too much or in the wrong place and that energy starts to turn inward. It becomes reflective, but not in a healing way, more like emotional static. People start avoiding shared spaces, conversations trail off, work gets delayed, you begin things but don't finish them. So what's the solution? It's not about removing lilacs from your life, it's about where and when you allow them in. These are flowers best suited for reflection. Meditation rooms, quiet corners, spaces where solitude is intentional. They are not ideal for bedrooms, family rooms, or kitchens, places that need grounded, connected energy. And never place them near entryways or windows where energy flows freely. Lilacs slow that flow. They soften it into stillness. One gentle test: try removing them from a room for 1 week. Pay attention to what shifts, not just how the room looks, but how it feels. Does conversation return? Does your sleep improve? Do you feel more like yourself? Energy isn't always loud. Sometimes it speaks through the mood of a space, the way your body reacts when you walk through a doorway, the words that come or don't come at the dinner table. Lilacs don't haunt you in the horror movie sense, but they do hold memory. They carry a frequency of things unfinished. And when your life needs clarity, direction, and warmth, a flower that encourages drift may not be the one you need right now. Because there's a difference between rest and emotional paralysis. And sometimes, what we think is peaceful is just our spirit trying to sleep through something it should be waking up from. Number 4, poppy, soft petals, heavy memories. There's something hypnotic about a poppy. The way it sways in the wind, soft and striking, almost like it's dancing between worlds. Its petals are paper thin, but the color, especially the deep red varieties, is bold, commanding, unforgettable. That contrast alone draws people in. It looks delicate, but it carries weight. And maybe that's the first sign: not all fragile things are light. In Western culture, poppies are tied to remembrance. They bloom in fields where soldiers once fell. They're worn on lapels for Memorial Day, planted near monuments etched into war poems. They represent honor, sacrifice, but also sorrow. Deep, unresolved, collective grief. That history is beautiful, sacred even. But it's not light. It lingers. And when that symbol enters your home, on your table, in your garden, it can bring more than just elegance. There's a reason poppies are often avoided in feng shui and other spiritual traditions. Not because they're dangerous in the obvious sense, but because they stir emotional residue. They connect to the part of us that mourns, sometimes consciously, sometimes without even knowing why. People who keep poppies inside often describe a slow drift in mood. Not sudden sadness, but a kind of emotional numbness. You sleep more, but feel less rested. You work harder, but don't move forward. There's beauty around you, but it feels disconnected, like a painting behind glass. Energetically, poppies are considered soft yin. That means they don't rage, they don't push, they pull. Gently, they absorb, and over time, they anchor a certain stillness that may look peaceful but feels draining. Imagine sitting in a room full of fog. Nothing's wrong, but nothing's clear either. That's the kind of atmosphere poppies can quietly create. One woman told me she placed poppies in her home office because they reminded her of her grandmother's garden. Within weeks, she found herself working slower, staring at screens longer, forgetting why she entered a room. At first, she blamed the weather, then her schedule. But even after changing her routine, the heaviness stayed. It wasn't until she removed the poppies that she realized the room had started to feel like her memory of grief, not the present moment. That's the complexity of this flower. Its energy doesn't come with noise, it comes with nostalgia. And nostalgia, when it goes unchecked, can become a trap. You start replaying things, conversations, mistakes, versions of yourself you've long outgrown. You revisit relationships that are already over but still take up space in your mind. That's not healing, that's circling. In homes where energy is already low, after a move, a loss, a season of burnout, poppies can amplify that weight. They don't cause the heaviness. They just give it a place to settle. And once it does, it becomes harder to move forward, harder to speak openly, harder to feel clear. That's why traditional feng shui recommends keeping poppies out of high traffic or high energy areas, especially bedrooms, offices, or children's spaces. because these are places that need vitality, clarity, and a strong connection to the present. Poppies don't live in the now, they bloom in memory. And there's another layer to consider. In Eastern traditions, red poppies are often associated with opium, the flower of escape. The blossom that offered pain relief, yes, but also addiction, numbness, destruction. While we may not connect a backyard flower to empire collapse, that symbolic association is still there. Beauty that deceives, relief that dulls, rest that turns to withdrawal. So what should you do if you love poppies? Admire them in photographs. Hang them in artwork where the image is softened, not energetic. Let them live in your garden, far from entrances or bedrooms. Or if you must bring them indoors, be intentional. Place them for a limited time, with a clear purpose, like honoring someone's memory on a specific day. And then let them go. Because the energy of grief needs honoring, but it also needs release. Here's a gentle truth: not all sadness needs to stay. Not every loss deserves a shrine in your living space. Some emotions must be carried, others must be allowed to lift. And sometimes the most powerful thing you can do for your energy, your focus, your joy, is to clear what quietly clouds it. Poppies are stunning, poetic, soulful, but they are not neutral. They hold stories. They remind us of endings. And while remembrance has a place, your home is not meant to be a museum. It's meant to move, to breathe, to grow. So ask yourself, is this flower here to inspire or to anchor something that's no longer mine? Because even beauty can become a burden if it keeps you looking backward when you're ready to move on. Number 5, Easter lily, the flower that sinks your spirit. There's something hauntingly beautiful about an Easter lily. Its trumpet-shaped bloom stretches downward, elegant and still. The petals are soft and white, almost too perfect, like porcelain. For many, this flower carries a sense of purity, even hope. It's tied to springtime, to resurrection, to new beginnings. But beneath that graceful surface, there's a weight, a silence, a heaviness that few people speak about, especially once the lily enters the home. Most people don't notice it right away. The flower smells fresh, clean. It brightens up a table, fills a room with a gentle fragrance. But if you spend time near it, especially in the evening, something shifts. The energy in the space doesn't rise, it falls. There's a reason for that. In traditional energy studies, flowers that face downward are believed to draw energy toward the earth. That may sound poetic, but in real life, it feels like motivation sinking, like clarity dissolving, like a space losing its edge. Easter lilies are known to carry descending energy, not just symbolically, but energetically. They are used in spiritual rituals in South America and other parts of the world, not for celebration, but for stillness, for mourning, for the unseen. That connection has endured. And when that same flower is placed in a living room or bedroom, it can subtly weigh the space down. What once felt light becomes dense. What once moved forward starts to feel stuck. Some people describe it as mental fog. Others notice tension in the air, old arguments that resurface, irritation without a source. For families already going through stress, this flower doesn't cause the problems, but it can amplify what's already there. Like turning up the volume on a conversation you didn't want to hear again. And then there's the physical sensitivity. Few people realize that every part of the Easter lily is toxic: its pollen, petals, leaves, even its sap. For pets and small children, it's especially dangerous. Even touching the plant and then rubbing your eyes can cause reactions. But energy-wise, the concern goes deeper. The flower may not harm you outright, but it can subtly disturb your body's rhythm. Restless sleep, upset stomach, dizziness. You chalk it up to stress. But sometimes it's the energy of what's around you. One family shared they kept a vase of Easter lilies on the kitchen island every spring. It was tradition, something their grandmother did. But after a few weeks, they noticed their mornings felt off. Conversations turned tense. The kids were more irritable. The dogs started avoiding the kitchen altogether. When they finally moved the lilies outdoors, the shift was immediate. The space felt lighter. The tension eased. It wasn't magic, it was momentum returning. Easter lilies are also known to hold emotional resonance. In feng shui, they are sometimes called energy amplifiers. Whatever mood or frequency already exists in a space, they reflect it back louder. That means if your home is peaceful and balanced, the lily may not cause harm. But if there's hidden resentment, exhaustion, or grief, the flower can magnify it until it becomes harder to ignore. And then there's money. Financial energy is deeply tied to movement, flow, and clarity. Easter lilies with their downward-facing blooms and still energy can block that flow, especially when placed near entryways or areas associated with abundance, like your desk, wallet station, or even where bills are paid. You may find yourself working hard, doing everything right, and yet still struggling to feel progress. But here's the deeper issue. Easter lilies are deceptive in their beauty. They look holy, pure, clean, and that image makes it hard to question them. After all, how can something that beautiful make your space feel worse? That's the trap, because not all energy is about how something looks. It's about how it lingers, how it feels after the guests leave, after the lights go out, after the noise dies down. So what do? You don't have to fear this flower, but you do need to be intentional. If you love Easter lilies, keep them outdoors. If they must come inside, place them in rooms that are not used for rest, reflection, or family interaction. Avoid bedrooms, kitchens, and any space where your energy gathers. Better yet, enjoy them briefly, then let them go. Your home reflects what you allow into it, not just physically, but energetically. And some things, while lovely on the surface, may be pulling you down without you even realizing it. The Easter lily doesn't scream. It doesn't demand attention, but it shifts the room quietly, steadily, until you wake up one day and wonder where your energy went. Because sometimes, the heaviest things are the ones that fall without sound. And sometimes, the most pure presence in your home is the one asking you to let go of what's already too heavy to carry. Number 6, night jasmine. It smells sweet until it doesn't. The first time you smell night jasmine in full bloom, you almost stop breathing, not because it overwhelms, but because it entrances. The fragrance is rich, velvety, almost otherworldly. It rolls into the air after sundown like a secret unfolding. Some say it smells like childhood or like a place they once loved but can't quite name. Others say it feels like a dream, but never a peaceful one. There's something mysterious about jasmine that only reveals itself at night. During the day, the plant is quiet, modest, but after dark, it comes alive. The scent travels far, across yards, through windows, under doors, and with it something else drifts in too. A strange tension, an energy that's hard to explain but even harder to ignore. Night jasmine has long been associated with spiritual openness in many cultures. It's a flower that wakes when the rest of the world sleeps. That alone gives it a kind of symbolic power. In old folk tales from India to Latin America, night-blooming flowers were said to attract spirits, gentle or otherwise. Their fragrance wasn't just pleasant, it was an invitation. A signal that something beyond the visible world had been acknowledged. Now, whether or not you believe in spirits isn't the point. What matters is how this flower changes a space. Many people report that after planting night jasmine near their homes, especially near bedrooms or windows, they begin to experience restlessness, trouble falling asleep, waking up multiple times, children crying at night for no clear reason. Even pets grow uneasy. Not every night, but enough to notice. One mother shared that after planting night jasmine near her son's bedroom window, he began waking up each night at 2:13 a.m. Sharp. No nightmares, just wide-eyed and silent. When she removed the plant, the sleep disruptions stopped. She hadn't even connected the two until weeks later. Night jasmine has what energy practitioners call dispersive power. It doesn't hold space, it moves through it. Its scent spreads and spreads, diffusing structure, scattering focus. This can be lovely in a garden, especially when balanced with grounding plants. But indoors, or too close to places meant for rest, it can create emotional static. You may find yourself more irritable, more anxious, more reactive, without knowing why. That's the trick with jasmine. Its beauty disarms you. You think it's relaxing you. But over time, that relaxation turns to overstimulation. The nervous system doesn't know whether to rest or stay alert. The result? Mixed signals, sleep that feels shallow, thoughts that don't settle, conversations that trail off before they find meaning. There's also a link between night jasmine and scattered wealth energy. In feng shui, when a plant carries too much yin energy, especially at night, it can dissolve the clarity and containment needed for prosperity to gather. You may notice things like work becoming inconsistent, opportunities slipping through, money arriving but not staying. It's not a curse. It's diffusion, energy that should be rooted, floating off instead. It's no surprise that in spiritual architecture, jasmine is rarely planted near entrances or places of prayer. Not because it's dark or evil, but because it's open, too open. It doesn't guard, it invites. And for a home to feel safe, grounded, and supportive, you need a container, not an open gate. That said, jasmine isn't the enemy. Its energy isn't bad. It's just powerful, and power, when placed without intention, can cause imbalance. So here's what you can do if you love jasmine. Plant it far from the house, along a back fence near the garden wall, anywhere its scent won't drift directly into your home at night. Never place it under a bedroom window or near an entryway. And if you've already planted it there, try trimming it back or relocating it entirely. Then observe how your home responds. You may find you sleep better. The air feels lighter. The tension that had no name softens. That's the power of subtle shifts. Some people hold onto jasmine because of its beauty, its romantic associations, the nostalgia it carries, and that's valid. But remember, even sweetness can become overwhelming when it lingers too long. A scent that once felt like home can start to feel like a question you can't answer. So ask yourself, does this flower make me feel settled or scattered? Do I feel clearer or more clouded? Do my nights feel restorative or restless? Because in the end, energy doesn't lie. It moves around us, through us, within us. And when something beautiful keeps you awake, it may be time to listen more closely to what it's really saying. Jasmine is a song, but not every song should play on repeat while you sleep. Number 7, apricot blossom. When it blooms too early, something's wrong. There's a brief moment in early spring when the air shifts, softens. The ground begins to release its cold, and everything feels like it's holding its breath before life returns. That's when the apricot blossom usually appears. It's delicate, bright, almost weightless. One of the first signs that winter is fading. But if you've ever seen an apricot tree bloom too early, too eager, too fast, you know the feeling in your chest. Something's off. The beauty doesn't land. It feels fragile, out of place, exposed. In many traditions, the apricot blossom is more than just a sign of spring. It's a symbol of transition, of cycles shifting, of energy beginning to rise again. But that makes it sensitive. This isn't a flower of stability. It belongs to the in-between. When timed right, it brings a sense of newness, possibility, soft hope. But when the energy in your home or environment is misaligned, the presence of this flower can stir confusion instead of clarity. One homeowner once said, "My apricot tree always bloomed early, a full burst in the dead of winter." She thought it was beautiful until she noticed the pattern. Every year it happened, something stalled. A job fell through. A new plan fizzled out. A relationship started with promise, then quickly dulled. It wasn't that the tree caused it, but somehow it mirrored it. The timing was always wrong, just like her projects, her partnerships, her peace. Energetically, the apricot blossom represents the moment just before momentum builds. It carries both yin and yang, dormancy and awakening. That sounds balanced, but it means the flower is highly reactive to its environment. If placed in a home where energy is already blocked, confused, or rushing too fast, it doesn't ground the space. It reflects the instability. It becomes a symbol of something that's trying to grow before it's ready. Have you ever felt like you're constantly starting things, but nothing takes root? Or like your ideas sound right in your head but fall flat when spoken aloud? That's the emotional echo of misaligned growth. The kind that begins before the soil is warm. And in some homes, the apricot blossom quietly amplifies that energy, not by intention, but by resonance. This flower doesn't scream for attention. It gently reminds you where things are out of sync. It shows up bright and hopeful, and then fades too fast, too quietly. That emotional rhythm can spill into your space. You might notice tension over small things, delays that feel unnecessary, days that feel promising in the morning but finish with nothing really done. It's not chaos, it's energetic misfire. In many Eastern traditions, there's a belief that certain flowers act as mirrors. They don't fix your energy, but they reflect it. The apricot blossom is one of those. When placed in a home where people are pushing too hard, rushing their healing, forcing change, they often find themselves exhausted, burned out, or simply emotionally dry. Not because they did something wrong, but because the space never fully supported the pace they were trying to live in. That's the paradox of the apricot blossom. It's beautiful but demanding. It asks for timing, patience, alignment. Without those, it becomes decorative but energetically hollow. A symbol of effort without grounding. So how do you know if it's become a problem in your home? Watch how things begin. Do your mornings feel hopeful but fade by noon? Do conversations start deep but end surface level? Do your plans have energy but lack follow-through? That's the pattern of something blooming before it's ready, again and again. One couple I spoke with placed apricot blossoms on their altar each spring. They said it made the house feel alive, but each year right after they argued more. Miscommunications, missed calls, short tempers. It took them 3 years to realize the flower wasn't the cause, but it was a compass. It was showing them where they were misaligned and rushing ahead. So here's what you can do. Don't fear the apricot blossom, but don't place it without thought. If you want to use it, wait until your home feels emotionally steady, clear, slow, awake. Let it bloom when your own energy is blooming. Never place wilted or early blossoms on your altar or your table. And never use it in a space that's already struggling to move forward. Because in those spaces, this flower doesn't inspire growth, it mimics your imbalance. In feng shui, energy moves like breath, too soon, and it's forced, too late, and it fades. The apricot blossom thrives only in that brief space where readiness meets stillness. And if your home is not in that space, this flower may remind you of what you've skipped. Because not every beginning is a true start, and not every bloom is a blessing if it opens before the light is ready to hold it. Number 8, black rose. It absorbs more than just light. Black roses don't appear in nature, not truly. What we call black is often a deep crimson or dark purple, dyed or engineered to achieve that haunting, almost impossible shade. But it's that very impossibility that draws people in. There's something captivating about them. Mysterious, elegant, dramatic. They don't whisper beauty, they declare it. And yet behind that bold exterior, there's an energy that's far more complex. Black has always been the color of depth. It represents the unknown, the hidden, the repressed. It absorbs light rather than reflecting it. In design, black is grounding. In emotion, it's heavy. And when it comes to energy in your home, the black rose doesn't just sit in a vase. It starts holding space in ways you don't immediately recognize. One of the most important truths in energy work is this: the objects in your home are not neutral, especially not the ones you choose for their emotional weight. A black rose doesn't just look cool or feel gothic. It symbolizes endings, absence, emotional intensity that doesn't always have a release. When placed in living spaces, especially near the places we love or work or sleep, it can begin to shift how those spaces feel and how you feel in them. People often describe the mood around black roses as thick or quiet in a strange way. Not peaceful, muted. You might feel more withdrawn, more introspective. That can be useful in small doses, but over time that energy can grow heavier. You may notice less laughter, less ease. Even communication between loved ones becomes slightly more effortful, not broken, just blurred. For couples, the symbolism of the black rose is especially relevant. In some traditions, it's said to cool love, not because it destroys it, but because it dulls warmth. It encourages emotional distance, stillness, even suppression. If you've ever felt tension in the air without a cause, like a layer of fog between you and your partner, look around. Sometimes the environment is quietly reinforcing disconnection. One woman told me she kept a bouquet of artificial black roses in her bedroom. She said they reminded her of her strength, of surviving heartbreak. But after a while, she found it harder to connect with herself, with her current partner. She couldn't explain it, only that the room didn't feel like hers anymore. When she finally removed the bouquet, it felt like the space opened. The tension she couldn't name finally softened. That's the unseen influence of symbolic energy. Black roses aren't cursed, but they are containers. They hold what we put into them: grief, defiance, memory, and they reflect that back constantly. If you're already going through emotional heaviness, they may deepen it. If you're healing from loss, they may preserve the wound longer than necessary. Not out of malice, but because that's what they were chosen to do. From a feng shui perspective, black belongs to the water element, fluid, deep, and quiet. In excess, water energy can lead to overthinking, isolation, and difficulty making clear decisions. It can cloud ambition, slow prosperity. That's why placing black roses near doorways, desks, or financial corners is discouraged. You may find that your ideas come slower, that motivation dips, that the things you start don't finish. And yet people are drawn to them because they are stunning, because they feel powerful, and they are. But power without direction becomes weight. Aesthetic without intention becomes interference. Your home isn't just a place, it's an ecosystem. Everything you place within it either supports your energy or subtly siphons it. So what should you do if you love black roses? Respect them. Use them as accents, not anchors. Keep them in areas designed for solitude, not in spaces where relationships need warmth or where energy needs to move freely. Avoid placing them in bedrooms, near dining areas, or by the front door. If they're artificial, clean them often. Dust holds stagnation. If they are in art, balance them with warmth, wood, gold, or light. More importantly, be honest with yourself about why you chose them. Is it beauty? Is it rebellion? Is it a memory? The more intentional you are, the less harm they do. The black rose isn't inherently negative, but it asks you to be aware, to understand that not all beauty is light. Some beauty, by design, holds shadows. If your home has felt emotionally muted, if relationships feel paused, if your thoughts are circling more than landing, look around. Sometimes the answer isn't internal. Sometimes it's sitting in a vase by the window, absorbing everything you're trying to let go of. Because the black rose doesn't give energy, it gathers it. And unless you're ready to sit fully in that space, it may be gathering more than you realize. Number 9. Red spider lily, its beauty mourns alone. Some flowers don't invite company. They don't soften a room or offer warmth. They stand apart, stunning, precise, almost otherworldly. The red spider lily is one of those. If you've ever seen one up close, you know what I mean. The petals curve like flame, sharp and deliberate. Its red is intense, not like a rose or a poppy, but like a sun that's just set, glowing on the edge of darkness. It's beautiful, but it's also haunting. In Japanese and Korean folklore, the red spider lily is called the flower of parting. It often grows near graveyards, temples, or paths rarely walked. Not by accident, this flower blooms in absence, its most striking trait. When the flowers bloom, the leaves are gone, and when the leaves return, the flowers have already vanished. They never meet. A lifetime of separation. That's the energy this flower holds, beauty that never touches what it longs for. Energetically, this makes the red spider lily a symbol of pure yin, quiet, still, emotionally charged. It represents endings. Not loud, dramatic ones, but quiet dissolves. The relationship that faded without closure, the friendship you still think about, the version of you that no longer fits. When placed in a home, especially in private spaces like bedrooms or near altars, this flower doesn't bring sadness, but it does stir memory. Old grief, long-held silence, a sense that something or someone is missing even if you can't name who. One homeowner said she planted red spider lilies along her walkway because they reminded her of elegance. But after a few weeks, her daughter stopped playing in the yard. Their dog wouldn't rest near them. She noticed she avoided the porch at night, not out of fear, but because it felt too still. The flowers didn't die, they thrived, but everything around them quieted, not peace, withdrawal. That's what makes this flower so powerful and so complex. It doesn't invade your space, it silences it. It doesn't cause sadness, it pulls forward what was already lying beneath. In the language of energy, the red spider lily is not destructive, it's revealing. It unmasks what's been unspoken, and that's not always what a home needs. In families already dealing with unspoken tension, grief, or disconnection, this flower can echo those feelings louder. It's not that it brings misfortune, it's that it amplifies emotional gaps. You might find that communication slows, people withdraw into their routines. Small joys, music, meals, casual conversation start to feel muted. The space feels occupied but not inhabited. For highly intuitive people or for children, this impact can be more direct. Nightmares, trouble sleeping, a preference for being in other rooms, not because they know what's happening, but because their nervous system does. They feel the energy that adults have learned to ignore. From a feng shui perspective, red spider lilies are not recommended near entryways, bedrooms, or common gathering areas. They disrupt flow, not by creating chaos, but by breaking continuity. They hold space for the things we're trying to release. And while that can be helpful in sacred, intentional spaces, it can overwhelm a home that's trying to build connection or momentum. Financially, their influence can show up as subtle blocks, delays in contracts, missed opportunities, relationships that stall right before commitment. Not from sabotage, but from slow withdrawal. This is the energy of almost, of reaching but never quite holding, of beauty that never arrives where it's meant to be. So what should you do if you love this flower? First, respect it. This is not a flower for decoration, it's a symbol, a mirror. It belongs in places where reflection is welcome, memorial gardens, healing corners, spiritual spaces where stillness has a purpose. If you want to plant it, place it away from main pathways, far from your home's foundation. Give it a space where it can be alone, because that's where it feels most aligned. Second, notice your emotional climate before bringing it in. Are you in a season of rebuilding, trying to reconnect, seeking joy after hardship? Then this may not be the flower for right now. It doesn't bring darkness, but it does bring pause. And sometimes, we're not ready for that. The red spider lily doesn't want your attention, it wants your honesty. It won't fill a room, it'll empty it. And sometimes that's the hardest kind of energy to sit with. But it's also the one that shows us what we've been avoiding. So ask yourself, what in my life has never bloomed at the same time as its roots? What parts of me have been beautiful but alone? Because this flower, this strange, fiery bloom, isn't here to decorate. It's here to remind us that even in beauty, some things mourn quietly apart from everything else. And that's not darkness, that's truth. Just make sure your home is ready to hear it. Number 10, dandelion. It doesn't stay, neither does your fortune. The dandelion feels harmless, it's small, whimsical, a childhood memory pressed into real life. We teach children to blow on it to make a wish, to watch the seeds drift into the air like tiny parachutes. We see it growing wild and resilient between sidewalks and backyards in places nothing else seems to thrive. And maybe that's the illusion, that something so gentle, so familiar, could never be the reason why a home feels ungrounded. But here's the quiet truth: dandelions represent impermanence, energy that doesn't settle, effort that doesn't root. In spiritual symbolism, they don't stand for growth. They stand for dispersal, for movement without anchor, for wishes sent out but never called back home. You might think it's just a flower, and that's fair. But energy is rarely about size or sound. It's about vibration. And the dandelion, for all its innocence, vibrates in the frequency of drift. You bring it into your house, fresh or dried, and you're introducing a message. Nothing stays, not money, not plans, not even clarity. People who keep dandelions in their home, especially in spaces tied to decision-making or prosperity like offices, desks, or entryways, often describe a strange pattern. Ideas come fast but vanish just as quickly. Projects begin with excitement but stall for no clear reason. Income arrives, then slips away in forgotten bills or sudden expenses. It's not disaster, it's dilution. You're not blocked, you're scattered. One woman told me she loved dandelions because they reminded her of freedom. She framed a photo of one and placed it in her studio. She said it inspired her to let go and flow. But after a while, she realized she wasn't finishing anything. Her art sat incomplete. Her inbox stayed full. Time moved, but she didn't. The inspiration she thought she was honoring was actually encouraging her to stay suspended in possibility, never in progress. That's the energy of the dandelion. It doesn't weigh you down. It lifts you up just high enough to float and then leaves you there, hovering, dreaming, waiting for the wind. In a home, this energy creates a very specific emotional climate. Everything's in motion, but nothing's landing. You make to-do lists, but nothing gets crossed off. You have conversations, but nothing really resolves. You feel busy, but not productive, tired, but not sure why. And when it comes to wealth, the impact is especially slippery. Feng Shui teaches that money needs a container, both literally and energetically. A place to gather, grow, and be respected. Dandelions send the opposite message. They scatter, they don't accumulate, they don't hold. So while your efforts might be strong, the return often leaks away. You get the job, but it doesn't last. You earn the money, but can't hold on to it. You attract the opportunity, but can't complete the follow-through. It's not a punishment, it's a mirror. The dandelion is reflecting the space it enters and quietly encouraging it to stay unfocused. Of course, not all dispersal is bad. Sometimes we need to release, to let go, to surrender control. In those moments, dandelion energy can be supportive if placed with intention. A garden, a nature altar, a meditation space designed for letting go. But in everyday living areas, places where we eat, plan, build, connect, it can cause more harm than clarity. So how do you know if this is affecting you? Start by noticing repetition. Are you having the same conversations without resolution? Are you constantly starting over financially, emotionally, mentally? Does your home feel full of motion but lacking in direction? Then look around. The objects, images, and plants you've surrounded yourself with may be encouraging that very pattern. If you love dandelions, no one's asking you to erase them, but shift their placement. Remove them from desks, kitchen counters, wealth corners. Don't dry them and place them in jars, because their symbolic power lies in their shape, not just their scent. And if you framed them or used them in art, make sure they're balanced with imagery of roots, containment, or harvest, not just the floating seed. One powerful reminder is this: beauty without grounding becomes distraction. Motion without pause becomes burnout. And a wish made without follow-through becomes a weight you didn't plan to carry. The dandelion doesn't mean you're doomed, it means you're drifting. And once you realize that, you can bring yourself back, one small shift at a time. So ask yourself, what in your life keeps floating away before it's ready? What dream have you wished for again and again, but never grounded? Because sometimes what your home needs isn't more motion. It's a place for everything you've been chasing to finally land. You've walked with me through 10 flowers, 10 forms of beauty that hold more than just color and scent. Each one carries a frequency, a memory, a presence. Not all are harmful, but none are neutral. And that's the truth we so often forget. Our homes are alive. They respond. They reflect. They remember. This wasn't a list of superstitions. It was a journey into how space holds energy and how the smallest choices, like the flowers we bring inside, can shape the way we sleep, speak, love, and grow. Maybe you've seen yourself in some of these stories. Maybe a room came to mind, a moment, a vase you've never questioned until now. That awareness is powerful. It's not about fear, it's about noticing. You see, beauty can either lift or linger. A bloom can soften the air or stir what's been sleeping too long. And while not every flower on this list will shift your world, even one can shift your day. And day by day, that becomes your life. So tonight, before the lights go out, I invite you to walk your home slowly. Look not just with your eyes, but with your breath. Feel the corners. Listen to what's heavy, what's bright. What no longer matches the version of you that's trying to rise. You don't need to fix it all. You just need to see it, to name what doesn't feel right anymore. That's how energy begins to move, Thank you for staying until the end, for allowing this quiet reflection into your space. It's not always easy to look closely, but it's always worth it. I hope this video helped you feel a little more connected to your space, your rhythm, your own deep knowing. And until we meet again, may your home be light, your spirit rooted, and your days guided by beauty that stays. Good night.